Hello, and good day, everyone! Welcome to Drakan Dates Gates Glitch Tutorial, episode 76, part 2, where in the previous part we talked about add-ons to episodes 70 through 73, and now in this part we're going to be talking about add-ons to 74 and 75, respectively, so we'll be in the castle for pretty much the entire time for this episode. So let's go ahead and get things started and continue on where we left off. Moving on to additions for episode 74, we have here Myschala suspended during the Zola Dane fight, in which I have learned from Arcane Knight that she indeed can be damaged here. With whatever weapons we use, we can damage her. However, I believe this is in the same... This is probably going to be the same case as with the brothers over the Brotherhood of the Eternal Word, in which case she can't die. Whether it be the Warthog attacking the brothers, or Rynn attacking Myschala. Heck, I don't even know if she takes damage from Zola Dane's doing the shockwaves. That would be a test for another time, but I don't really have the patience right now to actually just wait out for like 100 of his blasts to see if anything changes. With that though, there's another thing to investigate, such as where in the world is Dehrimon and the other guards. Well, in regards to Dehrimon, he's right down there. During the cutscene, during the fight with Zola Dane, he is moved down there. So let's go about trying to go and see him. So we're going to head down here and try not to get hit by Zola Dane, which he was really nice to not shoot at us. But we're going to head down here, and we can see Dehrimon suspended up here. But I want to have a better look at him, because I can't really get that great of a look from down here. So let's basically bring him to our... not bring him to our level, but let's get to his level. Let's utilize some tricks that we have used in episode 74 to get to him. After loading everything in, you can either access the roof through here, or you can access this way, and then use the Rynn glide glitch to access the basement roof. Once when we get onto the basement roof, we can finally be able to get a bit closer to Dehrimon. There's actually an invisible ledge that extends out a little bit further from the roof that we can use to access where Dehrimon is. Careful not to get too close to him, or else you'll actually fall through. But this is about as close as you can get. And I want you to notice here is that Dehrimon, if you look closely enough, he is breathing, he is moving, so he's not a still life stock image, and rather an actual fully functional model. And speaking of, he is a lot smaller than Rynn in here, though Rynn is slightly above here, but if we compare the two together, he's actually smaller when he's supposed to be taller than her. As you can see, when the model is in use, he is indeed taller than her, as well as much thicker than her.
General Dehrimon was quite a scoundrel in his younger days. There's more than a few ladies who've made his acquaintance.
Perhaps more because he was dummy thick! Well, in any case, this version of General Dehrimon will not speak to us when we try to interact with him. But it just leaves one burning question that I really want to ask him, and that is, what in the world happened to the guards of the throne room? Dehrimon, explain, where are they? They don't even appear back when I beat Zola Dane. Moving on, we're going to showcase 4 different states of the throne room using what we learned in episode 74 and 75. The 4 different states of the throne room are as such. We have here the throne room when it's unloaded, the throne room when it's fully loaded, the throne room when it's vacant and loaded, as well as the throne room when it's vacant and half loaded. These are the 4 different states that we can encounter here with the castle. Now, I want you to note that we cannot interact with Zola Dane when the castle is half loaded, or when it's loaded with its assets removed. There is actually, though, aside from these that we have known thus far, there is actually a 5th state of the castle. And let me show you how you can access this 5th state castle, which requires the cutscene of Zola Dane's defeat. the first thing we need to do is cast a lightning or impale. Then we move to the outer limit to pop ourselves up to the mountainside to then pop up to the top of the throne room. We then use the lightning spell and to kill Zola Dane. This will activate a very weird cutscene where there is no characters, nothing in the background aside the exterior of the castle on the mountainside. As you see, there is literally nothing here. You can basically just hear the conversation itself, and I'm just going to let it play out here.
I've got to stop him before he can report back to his masters.
Don't rush after him blindly. No doubt he has an escape route well planned. Better that you prepare yourself for what lies ahead. The desert is a dangerous land. Make certain you have everything you need before you go. I believe Dehrimon may be able to warn you of some of the perils which lie ahead.
And with that, we have accessed a 5th version of the castle, which again is only accessed by killing Zola Dane via a lightning spell while on top of the throne room. In this version, no assets are loaded. Let's perform a sideways tunnel flip in which we can now infinitely glide however we please. Since basically all the assets are unloaded, there's very, very few invisible boundaries that we can really collide into here. In which case, we can basically explore the palace however we please while in this state. So again, the only way to access this is to utilize what we learned in episode 69 part 2 of being able to strike at our enemies from wherever we want. And unlike having it when the castle is half loaded, we can actually exit out over here rather than having to activate a spell and then pop up behind the throne room. Here's a way we can access the roof of the throne room while the throne room is fully loaded. Perform a Who turn here, and then we are going to go down here to slide down a slope to then have Rynn pop up behind the throne room to then access the roof. This gives me an idea of what we just did earlier with Zola Dane's cutscene, having Rynn teleport down in the cutscene so we can have an easier time accessing the half-loaded throne room. Here is how we're going to access the half-loaded throne room through Zola Dane's cutscene. We perform a Who turn, and then we go ahead and de-equip the sword to go ahead and cast either Lightning or Impale, as that will allow us to attack Zola Dane from anywhere, as we learned from episode 69 part 2. And then we're going to target him. We're going to move off over here. Tilt the right control stick forward and tilt the left control stick backwards. Even if we fall out of it, that's okay. We just go back into here. And again, hold the left control stick and hold the right control stick. This will have an easier time for you to be able to pop up out of here. And there we go. We have Rynn sliding, let go of the control sticks, and we pop up here. We then go up to here. Once we're on the roof, we then cast our lightning spell here. Once when he's defeated, we can go ahead and skip the cutscene. And this should allow us to access a half-loaded throne room. Then, we'll just perform a sideways tunnel flip to then be able to explore out of here. Well, not explore out of here, but explore to our heart's content, at least to a limited capacity, though, because unlike in episode, unlike what we talked about earlier, there are invisible barriers here that don't exist when you access the throne room when nothing is loaded in the palace at all. And so, navigating around through here, we're going to encounter a lot of these invisible barriers, and as such, there's an invisible barrier blocking our access to exit out over here, like we did earlier. However, we can do what we did in episode 75, part 1, to exit out of here. But unlike what we did before, we just needed to, cast a spell. However, we already have a spell equipped right now, and so that won't work right now. All we need to do is equip a weapon, then press select again, activate a spell, and this will pop Rynn down, and we'll be able to slide up on out of here. If you use the Earthblade instead of a spell, you will not be able to move except move the camera around. Now, if you press select, you heard that sheen? Rynn will automatically re-equip, I guess I should say, the Earthblade or the previous weapon she was holding at the time. And then you can freely be able to explore the half-loaded throne room. Since we have a weapon equipped, we'll be able to do exactly what we did in episode 75 part 1, be able to summon a spell directly without having to equip a sword. But unfortunately, sometimes it may not work, in which case you just need to re-equip the sword, exit out of the menu, and then get back to the menu, and this will cause Rynn to slide backwards in a certain direction. And if you get her stuck against this wall over here, we'll be able to then cast a spell and hopefully be able to pop Rynn out, as sometimes this location doesn't exactly work while we want to, in which case if both attempts you did and you didn't quite get it, well, in that case, you just need to load to a previous save and continue your exploration from there.
It's locked.
So I finally figured out how we can have 2 Mychalas in the palace here. First, I want to show you guys a different version of the Who turn, which utilizes triangle and circle instead of triangle and square. Triangle and square, again, allows us to teleport through certain surfaces. However, there are some surfaces that can prove a little bit more difficult to do. However, triangle and circle, though a little slower, so not as useful in combat, allows Rynn to dig a little deeper, thus allowing her to get to some other locations when triangle and square would not allow you to do. Once we're up here, we are now going to go ahead and show you guys how we can actually have 2 Mychalas in the palace here. What's crucial here is that we cause a loading disc to appear to potentially spawn an additional Mychala. We then make our way up to here to Who turn to bypass into the castle. Given that we say in this scenario we haven't been able to activate Zola Dane's first cutscene to open the door for us. But as you see, we don't have a Mychala. So if we don't have a Mychala, all we gotta do is head back outside, go about as far to the, about right here, and then head on back towards the palace, cause the loading disc to appear, to then finally bypass into here. And of course, if we got walls and barriers and stuff, we just roll right in through here. And then we're gonna just roll right into the palace's foyer area, backflipped up to here, and then we're going to check and see if we have 2 Mychalas or not. And lo and behold, we have 2 Mychalas now, and Dehrimon will appear like this as well. We will not spawn 2 Dehrimons, however, as the one in the basement was overwritten by this Dehrimon here. That being said, there is one hilarious thing that we can do here now that Dehrimon has been spawned with Mychala, and that is he can take damage. Yes, he can take damage. He can flinch to Zola Dane's attacks, which I was at this for a full half hour, and I still haven't really been successful in trying to damage Dehrimon here. An observation I made during my 30 minutes of trying to get Dehrimon killed, Zola Dane's green energy blasts and his darkness attacks seem to propel him backwards. Because Zola Dane isn't supposed to really move from his spot, which really makes him easy to kill. But yes, apparently those 2 types of attacks actually propel him backwards. Huh, the more you know. After we defeat Zola Dane after producing a second Mychala, the Dehrimon that appeared here, as you can see, is no longer here. He has been transported back to the foyer area where he needs to be, however, he will be floating through the air. We kind of experienced this over in episode 74, but didn't really understand how it actually activated, and now we know this is activated because we produced a second Mychala and having General Dehrimon move up to the throne room floor. So basically what happens, the game moves him to where he needs to be, horizontally speaking, but not vertically. And so we'll have General Dehrimon floating here as long as we have produced a second Mychala. Speaking of Mychala, we can actually use her as a platform during the fight with Zola Dane. And if we perform a Who turn, we can actually be able to see up close what she looks like during this fight. Which I kind of find it seems to be a little funny, but when you guys are exploring this, I'm sure Mychala is probably going to Rynn like, Rynn, what are you doing? Just save me already! Moving on to talking just about additions to episode 75, we have right here investigating kind of what is supposed to be up in the throne room, and that's these carpets here. With the second one being located on the other side, it makes a question that there was supposed to be carpets up underneath the tables. Because when we enter the throne room, there are no carpets. Well, I guess their more technical term would be rugs, but it makes me think that either the developers made a mistake and it's an oversight on the placement of the carpets are incorrect, or that they decided to just forego the carpets and just simply move them out of bounds rather than delete them. I know I briefly glossed over in terms of using the who turn with triangle and square in some locations. Doing a who turn will not work. However, if you do triangle and circle, you can dig a little deeper in locations that you can perform the who turn, the who teleport, but would still fail to get Rynn closer to the ground. So, with that being said, again, when doing the counter of the who turn, Rynn is a lot slower in trying to turn around and moving around. However, the who turn with the square and triangle is a lot quicker and more useful for combat. So, if you're trying to use the who teleport, triangle and circle may be a better option than a triangle and square, since it allows you to dig deeper. Speaking of the who teleport isn't limited to just the back forward triangle front flip. We can actually perform it with other jumps as well. We can do it with side flips, we can do it with back flips as well, as we do right there, and we can do it with sideways tunnel flips. Again, those three jumps there, they may work, but in terms for the who turn though, they're not very useful in combat, as basically Rynn doesn't turn around immediately. And that's what we want to do here with the who turn, but in who teleport we can use any other jumps we want to teleport through the ground. Just keep in mind, if you want more combat to do the quick turnaround, you'll need to do the who turn with back forward and triangle. Moving on to our next glitch, I wish to establish a foundation of understanding of the difference between this side of the throne room and the throne room over here, as where this side of the throne room allows us to easily just pop immediately up without having to deal with any outer limits. However, that will not allow us to be able to do the glitch that I'm about to show you guys right now. So instead of going behind the throne room, we are actually going to use the slope here to then press and hold X as she's sliding down to keep her in a crouch position. So while holding X, we'll be able to explore this area of nothingness. Well, nothing right now because, well, we haven't actually loaded the palace back in yet. But for right now, we're going to roll Rynn this way to access the roof of the foyer. But we can also do the same thing with the west tower. But what about the east tower? We haven't gotten up there yet. While the glitch is activated, rolling towards the eastern tower will allow us to pop up here. And just like in the west tower, we can fall off towards that direction, but unlike the west tower, we won't be able to come back up here, making this the only way that we can access the eastern tower for right now. As you can see, it's a carbon copy of the west tower, and just like the west tower, we can access the first roof with it. Since we're already up here, allow me to show you a way that we can access the palace without leaving the first roof. So what we're going to do is head towards the east tower. Then we're going to place a backflip to then access this invisible ledge. Then we're going to make our way to this intangible wall here to get back inside the palace. Now we can continue exploring the palace's interior. And the same thing can be done over the west tower, but it's basically the same thing, nothing different. So what we're going to do now is explore this particular glitch, in which we'll have the palace loaded in this time. So we're going to perform a who turn, then walk backwards, slide down the slope, press X. I want you to notice with Rynn's vibration here, depending on where she's at in the vibration will determine how high or low she is inside this secret area. Now, this one actually got a little bit low here. Actually, I can actually even see Rynn's shadow. But even so, we can go ahead and explore what is left of Zola Dane's office in this version. It makes it look like they went ahead and cleared everything out of there. He was a traitor. We're going to sell all the traitor stuff. Then we're going to, as out with the old and in with the new. We'll eventually get new stuff in and a new personnel for the seer job. All right. Now, with that being said, however, even though we can explore through Zola Dane's office, we can't explore an unloaded foyer area, nor can we explore the unloaded, well, it's not really much of an unloaded hallway, it's pretty much the same, but we can't explore this area either. The main reason is that when we roll far enough, we still will pop up like we did before. I was able, however, to have some random happenstance that I was able to bypass that, and was able to explore this area. However, I wasn't recording at the time, and I had to leave at the time, so I didn't even have time to click record when it was happening. So unfortunately, I'm not able to show you that, but I have something that trumps this glitch tenfold. That makes this groundbreaking discovery I've made, allows Rynn to be able to explore the palace at almost whatever depth, down from the throne room all the way down, even to the depths of infinity. But with that being said, before we do that, I do want to note one other difference from the West Tower than here is that the drop-off, there's a drop-off here, much like over in the West Tower. However, there's no pop-up point, which is going to make the West Tower useful for one thing, and that's going to be with a particular glitch that I am going to show you guys right now. I have something incredible to show you guys. It's not as groundbreaking as the flight glitch I'll be showing you guys in the next episode, but by gosh, this thing is incredible in itself. So, let me show you guys how to perform it. So, what we need is to have any ledge that will allow Rynn to pop up immediately. So, anything that will actually have her go from here and up there immediately. No slope, no nothing. Doesn't matter if there's a wall or not, just as long as she's able to pop up. So, from there, all we gotta do, instead of running up to it, let's strafe towards it. Let's use the tank controls, whatever you call it. All we gotta do is pick a direction where we wanna go, and we're gonna strafe towards it. So here we go. And then she will slowly fall. This is reminiscent of the infinite fall glitch that we discussed, or we kind of experienced over in episode 28. Here, however, this one has different interactions that we can do with it. We can either accelerate the fall by tilting the control stick back or forward. Though here, I kind of got her to do the steps. That's because she's actually has an intangible surface right above her. But let's try to get it where she's not doing those type of steps. There we go. And as long as we hold the control stick in the direction that we want her to go and holding the strafe button, we can have her fall indefinitely at the speed that we want her to, and we can see the underneath Surdana for what it is. This is absolutely incredible. I could also, if I turn the other way, I would be able to see everything that's also behind me, but this thing hides a greater power. As Myschala would say about the gate, this glitch hides a greater power. That's the power of rolling! Yes, we can roll inside here. So we don't even need to hold the left control stick or R2. We just need to hold X, and we'll be able to roll through here Use the right control stick to angle the camera to have a look around. And we are limited to only the area of, how would I put it? Only the area of the palace. Anything that would go roughly outside of it, it's a bit of a different range than what we actually have inside the palace. But let me just iterate here that we can't actually explore Surdana like this. We are limited to where we can go. Even though that the range is fixed inside the palace, we can still access one particular area with the glitch, and that is this landmass over here. We're going to get underneath the water. However, we want to be running underneath the water. So we want to actually get lower than that, because if we're too close to it, we'll just end up swimming in the water. So if we get down low like this and roll towards it, we'll encounter a slope that will cause us to slide right underneath this water. And now we can access this hidden area. Well, I guess you can more say it's a hidden underwater passage outside of the castle to escape any danger that may befall it. We can also access the half-loaded throne room without utilizing an invisible Rynn and using a sideways tunnel flip to have her infinitely glide to where we want her. But that being said, can we actually explore the foyer area with this? Well, let me show you exactly how we can do that. Explore the foyer while its interior is unloaded. Here's how we're going to access the foyer. We're going to utilize the glitch that we've been able to access this area. Then we're going to roll to the west tower to pop up to this location. Then we're going to drop down here and use the outer limit that would normally pop us up to have her activate the glitch. However, this glitch doesn't like slippery slopes. It prefers more flat platforms above you to activate the glitch. But now we can access the foyer area. If you time it just right, we can access the foyer area. It makes it look like we're rolling on the ground. And this is the passage to the treasure room. At least what's left, as there's no treasure room anymore. But then we can roll back here. We can't roll to the left. We'll just pop up to the ceiling of the foyer. But here we can rotate the camera around to load everything in. However, we are still not quite inside here ourselves. So rolling towards here is going to cause Rynn to turn invisible. We can press select and maybe it'll pop us up. But otherwise, we'll just need to save the game and she'll be loaded back here. We can explore as per normal. What's funny is that if we activate the glitch while she's on a slope and we actually fall down onto a solid surface, this is what happens. Look at her left leg. Look how she runs with it. Let's go ahead and pop up here. Let me show you guys that we can do this with the other leg as well. It just depends on which direction she is strafing to, but look at this. Oh, fun stuff aside. Using the roof of Zola Dane's office, we can access the half-loaded throne room at floor level. When I would activate this glitch normally, I would have to time it just right. But here, I don't mind having the training wheels to help me out with this. But I do have to say there are other places that we can activate this glitch too, not limited to the palace. But I'm going to save that for the next episode and conclude things here with this glitch and move on to the last thing we will talk about for this video. The only other thing I have to show you guys is that if you get Arak inside here, Arak's attacks will actually make the guards cower in fear, much like the castaways over in the Adrelian Isles, but unlike them, they don't run around. They just stay here and cower in fear before Arak's might. Gives me some thought if we were to have an enemy in here attacking, we might be able to have these two guards die. But that's just more of a what-if theory, as I've heard that other characters can actually die, as I have posted earlier from a correction I made with Arcane Knight saying that the monks can actually be killed. But with that being said, let's go ahead and move on to our next episode where we are finally going to be introducing Rynn Flight along with a few other glitches as well as some add-ons to the glitch that I just did that allows Rynn to explore the Underworld of Surdana. So like, comment, subscribe, And as always, have a great life, everyone.
What's that?